Tonight, I want to take you back to a time before alarms, before emails, before bills and deadlines. A time when the richest women in the world, queens, priestesses, and pampered daughters of empires, woke to silk instead of screens. When luxury meant perfumes from myrrh, gold-threaded robes, and bathing in flowered oils. Close your eyes and imagine. What did the wealthiest women of ancient Egypt do before breakfast? What did a Babylonian queen dream about? What did a Roman empress wear to sleep? Tonight, let's wander quietly through their lives, one step at a time, as you drift slowly into the soft world of sleep. Chapter 1. The Soundless Morning of a Queen, Ancient Egypt, 1400 BCE. The sun has not yet risen over Thebes, but inside a quiet palace of limestone and cool alabaster, a woman stirs beneath linen sheets finer than anything in the empire. She is not a goddess. She is not a soldier. She is simply the most powerful and pampered woman in Egypt. The wife of a pharaoh, or perhaps the pharaoh herself. Her room smells faintly of lotus blossom and cinnamon. The walls are painted with soft scenes of blue Nile waters and fields of golden barley. As the sun peeks over the horizon, the first sound of the morning is not a bird. It is the rustle of servant sandals on smooth stone. 3 handmaidens enter, silently, gracefully. One carries scented water in a bronze bowl warmed over coals. Another holds a small ivory comb, carved in the shape of a gazelle. The third waits with a basket of cosmetics, crushed beetles, malachite powder, perfumed oils. The queen does not speak. She is not expected to. She closes her eyes as warm water is gently poured over her feet. This is the first ritual of the day, purification. No prayer is said aloud, but the air is thick with meaning. Cleanliness in ancient Egypt is not just hygiene, it is spiritual order. To be pure is to be close to Ma'at, the principle of truth, balance, and cosmic harmony. After the bath, her skin is rubbed with unguents, fragrant creams of almond, frankincense, and myrrh. Not for beauty, but to soothe the soul. Her hair is braided, her eyes lined in kohl. Not to seduce, but to protect from the sun's glare and from evil spirits. She does not dress herself. Her robes, long, flowing linen, are wrapped around her by others. Gold jewelry is clasped onto her wrists and ankles. A pectoral with lapis lazuli rests on her chest, heavy but familiar. Now she is ready. Not for war, not for politics, but for the garden. Yes, this queen spends her first hour walking slowly, barefoot, through rows of papyrus and date palms. She touches the petals of white lilies. She listens to the bees. She watches a cat stretch beside a pool of still water. Time, for her, is not something to chase. It is something to savor. Chapter 2. Breakfast in Babylon, Queen of Babylon, 600 BCE. Now, let us leave the Nile behind. We drift eastward to the great walled city of Babylon, where the Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the world, rise like a dream in the desert. Here we find another woman of immense wealth, a queen of Babylon. She rises to the sound of lyres, played softly in the courtyard. Her bed is carved from cedar wood and draped in soft fabrics imported from as far as India. Next to her bed, a servant lights a cone of amber incense. The queen stretches, slowly, languidly. Unlike the Egyptian queen, this woman enjoys a spoken morning. She speaks to her attendants in Akkadian, a language of elegance and formality. Breakfast arrives on golden trays, honey cakes, goat cheese, figs, and wine diluted with rosewater. A tame dove perches near her window. She is not just a queen by title, she is a priestess of Ishtar, goddess of love and war. After her meal, she enters a small shrine in her chambers. There, she pours a libation, wine over smooth stones, as a morning offering. She whispers her dreams to the goddess. Dreams in Babylon were sacred. They were believed to be messages, sometimes warnings, from beyond the mortal world. She then reclines on cushions and listens as scribes read clay tablets aloud. Poetry, omens, letters from distant nobles. Each word floats through the air like silk, soft, ancient, slow. She is not expected to rush. In this world, silence is a virtue. Chapter 3. The Lotus and the Light. Gupta Princess, 400 CE, Ancient India. Somewhere along the banks of the sacred Ganga, before the sun has fully stretched its golden fingers across the sky, a palace begins to stir. Inside, under a white marble dome carved with lotus flowers and mythic swans, a princess of the Gupta Empire awakens, not to an alarm, but to the soft chiming of bells and the scent of jasmine blossoms. Her sleeping quarters are open to the air, shielded by silk drapes that flutter in the early morning breeze. From her bed, made of sandalwood and layered with cotton-stuffed pillows, she can hear the faint music of a bamboo flute played by an unseen servant in the garden. No one rushes her. There is no need. Time, in this world, flows like the river, slow, patient, reverent. An attendant arrives, carrying a small copper basin of rosewater. Another places sandalwood paste on her forehead. She has not spoken yet. Words are saved for after cleansing. Her morning bath is not just a habit, but a sacred rite. Snana, the ritual of purification. She steps carefully into a sun-warmed pool lined with blue tiles. Petals float on the surface. Hibiscus, rose, and champa flowers. The water smells faintly of turmeric and neem. Two handmaidens softly scrub her arms and legs using ground mung beans and crushed almonds. Her skin glows with oil, perfumed with cardamom and vetiver. Afterward, she dresses in a soft muslin sari, barely heavier than air, dyed a gentle shade of turmeric yellow. She wears a single anklet that jingles softly with each step. Not gold, silver. She prefers its cooler sound. For breakfast, she sits cross-legged on a low teakwood stool in her courtyard. Fresh mango slices, steamed rice cakes, a little ghee. She drinks a warm infusion of tulsi leaves, holy basil, to cleanse her spirit. As she eats, a reader recites poetry aloud from a scroll written in elegant Sanskrit verse. It is the Meghaduta, the Cloud Messenger, a love poem sent through a drifting cloud. She closes her eyes, and for a moment she forgets the palace, the responsibilities, the ceremonies. She just listens. To the words. To the wind in the trees. To the birds gossiping in the canopy. Her day has begun, but it has begun gently, with poetry, with water, with silence. Chapter 4, The Silk-Swathed Mourning of a Han Dynasty Noblewoman, Ancient China, 100 BCE. High atop a mist-shrouded hill in the Empire of Han China, a villa rests in stillness. Terracotta roof tiles glisten with dew, and bamboo leaves sway with quiet rhythm. Inside, behind beaded silk curtains, lies a noblewoman of the imperial court. Her world is wrapped in stillness. Painted scrolls of cranes and peonies, pale lantern light, and the slow swirling of incense smoke. She wakes alone, as is custom. Servants have already lit the braziers to warm her sleeping chamber. She slides from her bed, her robe rustling like paper in the wind. Before anything else, she writes. Yes, her first act each day is to open a slender wooden journal and paint a character with a horsehair brush. Just one. Today it is Iya, stillness. She breathes in. In her culture, women are trained in the 4 arts: music, painting, poetry, and chess. Her mornings reflect that. Her attendants arrive, eyes lowered, voices barely above a whisper. They carry basins of chrysanthemum-scented water and strips of soft silk for drying. Her hair is combed with bone combs soaked in camellia oil. Pins of jade and ivory are inserted one by one. No mirrors are needed. She knows the ritual by heart. She chooses her robe, a light blue silk embroidered with cranes, and a sash of woven gold. She eats quietly. Rice porridge, jujube fruit, slices of lotus root. She drinks jasmine tea from a delicate porcelain cup. She does not speak. Instead, she listens. A guqin, a 7-string zither, is played by a servant in the garden beyond. Its notes rise and fall like waves, one at a time, like footsteps in fog. This woman may never leave the estate today, and yet her world is rich. She will practice calligraphy, feed the koi, burn incense to the ancestors, compose a few lines of poetry. Her life is soft, slow, deeply rooted in order and elegance. It is not a life of noise. It is a life of deliberate grace. Chapter 5. A Roman Empress and Her Marble Morning. Ancient Rome, 70 CE. Now we drift across continents and centuries again. To Rome, a domus, an elite Roman house, is alive with activity, even before sunrise. But the woman inside, Domitia Longina, wife of the emperor, does not rise with the market crowd. Her chambers are large, with marble columns, red and black mosaics, and heavy velvet curtains. A bronze brazier glows with low embers, and a slave fans perfumed air into the room with ostrich feathers. When she awakens, her expression is unreadable. She is no fragile flower. Her ancestors include senators and generals, but still, she prefers slow mornings. Attendants wash her hands with wine and water. Her body is rubbed with olive oil, then scraped clean with a strigil, an ancient Roman beauty tool. She is dressed in a stola, a long dress of layered wool, and cinched with jeweled clasps. Gold earrings dangle like sunlight from her ears. Her hair is styled elaborately, with coils and braids pinned in spirals atop her head. It takes nearly an hour. She does not complain. Style is status. Breakfast? Light, bread dipped in honey. Figs. A sip of watered wine, perhaps a handful of olives. Then she walks slowly through the peristyle, her private garden, flanked by marble statues and flowering vines. She stops at the pool, looks at her reflection, not with vanity, with calculation. Today she will host visiting nobles, oversee gifts sent from Syria, approve a new